Hey there. I was lucky enough to be a member of a writers group that produced Balance of Five. And in a busy life, if you really want to keep connected and you don't have a lot of time, you can find a writers group and you can go sit in on it. And you can write from prompts, which is what a few of the poems that, well, most of the ones I'm going to read are from. Very short sessions in maybe 30 minutes. You know, we should call it art in 30 minutes. But you don't have to have an entire day to make some art. You can take some time in a small space, which most of us do. So we decided we'd do this book, and they let me come and play in the sandbox with them, even though I write prose poems. So I really enjoyed that, and I'll read you a few of those. I'm going to read the first one. Well, this is how they look on the page compared to a regular poem. And the first one is a book you may know by James Agee, Let Us Now Praise Famous Men. And this was my response to his book. And folded and restored so orderly, so reverently as sacraments, or the priest's blessed cloths, let us now praise famous men. And he's referring to the objects found in the drawer of this family he was studying and photographing. In the drawer he found the baby's worn cotton gown with flowers so faded and faint as to be unreadable, the little ruffled hem unraveling in back where her mother held her upright as she was learning to stand on her china doll feet. There were embroidered handkerchiefs, starched and pressed, one with a spray of violets. They had never been used. A little white shirt with a sailor collar in blue that her mother had made tiny buttons. There was a newly washed feed sack that she had saved for toweling, and curled inside a baby's soft hairbrush. 2 worn slips, one full, one half, one nylon. Sissy's undershirt with the little pink flowers, and on the bottom drawer he unfolded some of the strips of cloth she kept washed and pressed for her time of the month. He put it all back where he found it, but she could tell someone had touched it. These were her private things. Why had he done it? I think about Appalachia a lot, and I think about what you all know probably is the extreme Appalachia, which is voyeurs coming from the outside to view Appalachia and to ascertain who we were. So that prompted that. This is called Writer's Rented Room. This is the moment we wait for, a clean room, a place for everything, a closet full of empty hangers that we can fill, nothing, not even a cup in the sink for an obligation. I ran my hand across the smooth plane of a calico shirt. It would be waiting for me in the morning. I unrolled the blanket and lay down atop the mattress, fully clothed. I slept deeply, like a transcontinental traveler, like an exile in an airport, a bum in a warm bus station on a January night. The clothes were the other order in my life, neatly pressed. First the shirt, then the pants, then the skirts in the unzipped suitcase. The next morning I put them on to walk the long hill to the college. And this is a little kind of a voice poem that was inspired by watching children play. And this is something I think all of us have done. I mean, you can see the absolute focus that a child can have when they're playing. But it also turned into a poem about children who are different. It's called Learning to Talk. He learned the language by watching his mother's eyes, the boy beyond hearing or speaking. Sitting cross-legged in the center of the floor and lying on his side, he meditated on small objects, rolled a little metal car back and forth across the swirled pattern on the linoleum while she sang at her work in the kitchen. He watched her lips move and knew she was vibrating deep down in her throat. He smelled the smell of vegetables and roasting meat blending together toward the hour his father came home. How could a boy be that flexible? His body folded like a book and long, and what a blessing it was that he could set his heart on such a small thing, a thing like a little pebble of common glass, a piece of flint, a marble, a die-cast toy, until his father and brothers came home. How could she send him to school? Watching, he saw his mother turn toward the door. He stopped his loud breathing. his grunting sounds, and tucked the little cars into his pants pockets quickly. He sat up straight like a bird watching for bad luck. Would his brothers take his cars? Would he spill his milk at the dinner table? His mother rubbed her hands together for the signal for washing hands. Then she touched the place where she said his heart was beating. There in that place was his name. There in her eyes was his reflection. In his waking hours, he never let her out of his sight. In the touch of her fingertips, in the blood and tissue of her heart, he looked for himself. Where else could such a boy look?
Beautiful.
Thank you. You probably know the poet James Dickey from Deliverance. And so I think sometimes that colors how we think of James Dickey. But he was an incredible poet. And he came to Berea in the 70s. We had a professor here, and he brought in all these famous William Stafford. I mean, in his living room, it was so amazing. And James Dickey was sitting on a desk over in Draper in one of the classrooms. And it was only till later I realized what an incredible poet he was. And so I kind of riffed off a poem of his called The Heaven of Animals. And this is a quote. Here they are, the soft eyes open. If they lived in a wood, it is a wood. Here they are, the soft eyes open. If they are dreaming they lived in a wood, well, if they are dreaming a giant tree falls and they could put it in their pockets, as children sometimes dream, if they are running and the leaves are damp, their shoes covered in mud, they are there. Outside is raining, spring is coming. The deer are curled in pine needles and moss, transfusion of green. Everyone is deeply asleep, but not the house. The house takes in the dreams. The boards absorb the sound of breathing. Listen for the restless sleeper. A mouse is tapping out a secret in the junk drawer. And maybe the sound of the dream makes the squishy loam pushing up against her feet, or a shadow above that sends the birds into silence and disappears them in the trees. There is a blanket on the bed all twisted with her running, silly little pastel bears and rainbows on the natty blanket. It is warm in the dream, but now it's cold. Someone should talk to the house. Mama, she says, she's 4 years old. Mama, she calls from the door to the bedroom. Why is it like this every night? I just don't understand. Mama is coming. Mama pulls the blanket over them. They hide under the power of the rainbow. She begins her story now, the child's head so lightly still against her shoulder. The child's hair is spilling down like warm silk. She touches it with her lips. I just can't understand. Why don't you tell me about the dreams? But the child is sleeping now, back in the wood. The bear is coming. She looks, and he's there waiting. His teeth are metal. His long, long claws are curved like black clasps. He wears a ball cap on his sodden head. Okay, how's my time?
3 minutes.
3 minutes? Okay, I'll read one last poem. I'm primarily a novelist, and poetry just has to work you so hard. And novels are just a walk in the park. But I've recently written a coalfield novels about my experience as a reporter, a labor reporter during the '85 strike with Massey Cold. And so it's about mountaintop removal, and it's about the demise of the UMWA. I can't find the title to the book. Feel free to think of one for me. But a couple nights ago, I wrote a poem to try to get to the title, and this is it. And it's called Something Sweet Like Grass. Something sweet like grass with the damp air settling cool on a spring night. Something sharp like smoke from the last coal fire before the heat comes and the leaves burst green in the mining camp. Something smooth as the stones, the ballast on the railroad tracks, and smells, locust and honeysuckle, clean sweat, tobacco, a taste on my lips from his cigarette. All of it gone so quick, there's nothing left but the empty coal cars lined up and men with guns coming in the dark. Thank you.